What's up, ladies and gentlemen, Neon Pow here, and this week we're doing part 1 to What If Naruto Was Raised by the Akatsuki. That meaning it is a fresh series, so we're gonna get right into this. But before I do that, I gotta do some special thanks to my co-writer, sassyeggroll, that helped create the story we are about to witness today. Also, can't forget about my artist, Hujayfa, who helped create my brand new avatar and the thumbnail artwork. They are both amazing people, and I appreciate them so much. So, for this like goal, since it's a fresh series, let's try to do 100 likes in one day. I know you beasts should easily be able to do that. Let's see what you got. Also, if you're not subscribed yet, please do so and hit that bell icon to stay up to date with all the weekly juicy what ifs coming to you. So guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video. This tale is about a young boy that we are all so familiar with, Naruto Uzumaki. However, one small change will twist our young Jinchuriki's life forever. We begin our story on the day of the Nine Tails attack of the Hidden Leaf. The events of this gruesome battle all play out as normal, except for one minor detail. Instead of the masked man, which we all know as Obito, fleeing the scene, he stays around a bit longer as he has hatched a devious plan that could greatly work towards his favor. Minato and Kushina still sacrifice themselves for Naruto, and half the Nine Tails is still sealed inside the child. However, once the scene becomes quiet, Obito emerges from the shadows. He is frustrated as plans were ruined, but by taking Naruto, he feels that he will be able to mediate his losses. He then vanishes with the child. The third Hokage finally arrives on the scene as late as usual and sees that Naruto's parents are both dead and Naruto is missing. He sends out a search party, but it doesn't seem like it will end with any success. As Obito arrives tattered to the Akatsuki hideout, he meets up with Nagato and Konan. He informs them on what just occurred and what the child is. He explains that he was near the Leaf Village at the time and had seen the Nine Tails appear suddenly. This poor child was orphaned due to the Nine Tails breaking free of his mother's control. And instead of carrying his wife and newborn baby to safety, the boy's despicable father decided to seal the Nine Tails inside of him, cursing him to be an outcast in any village he would ever set foot in, assuming they knew he was the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Seeing such a horrendous act, Obito quickly killed his father and decided to care for the child himself. They aren't necessarily keen on involving a child into their plan, but by believing in Obito's story, they think that Naruto could be an ace in the hole they needed to guarantee the success of the ultimate goal, the goal of true peace through any means necessary. Obito can't really be seen training or grooming the child since he'll be undercover as Toby, so Nagato and Konan are the ones to take care of Naruto. As odd as it may be, the two become parental figures to the young Naruto. With this, Naruto's new life begins. Since Nagato and Konan aren't necessarily evil, they still want to be the best for Naruto as a child. In reality, the young child has a better childhood than if he was in the Leaf Village. He is given plenty of attention, so he isn't forced to misbehave to get any. Since the Akatsuki's main goal is to use Naruto's Jinchuriki power, Nagato trains the boy in chakra control daily from the first day he can comprehend it. Konan focused on working on taijutsu aspect of Naruto's training, using her paper jutsu as practice tools. Every now and then, Konan would even put a show with her paper style to entertain the young boy. These small interactions would help Naruto gain a deep respect for the two. Obito would pay Naruto a visit from time to time to check on his training progress. He was pretty satisfied with how the child was handling himself, but he felt that Nagato and Konan might be spoiling the kid a bit too much. He also knew that he would have to do something about the cursed seal keeping the Nine Tails chakra constricted. For this reason, when Naruto got to the age of 7, he brought him to Orochimaru as he knew he was always meddling with a variety of jutsus. Before this, Obito was wary of involving Naruto with the Akatsuki members. During this encounter, Naruto got a chance to meet another child of similar age to himself, Kibimaru. This was the first time that Naruto was able to meet a boy of similar age as him, so he was naturally excited. Naruto, having a bright and free upbringing, enthusiastically introduces himself. However, it was a bit too enthusiastic as it causes the opposite effect that Naruto had wished it to have. Kibimaru was silent, put off by the upbeat child in front of him. He'd rather not interact with him at all, but when his master Orochimaru insisted that he go off to talk or even spar with Naruto while he and Obito chatted about a potential release for the seal, he obeyed. He and Naruto start walking towards a clearing that would give them a chance to spar, chat, or anything else they so desire. Kimimaro, not much for conversation, said nothing throughout the entire walk there. Naruto, through his interactions with Konan, had picked up on reading people's emotions, so he attempted to use that skill now. While Kimimaro was very difficult to read, Naruto thought it would be best to give him some space if he hoped to befriend him. He had a million things he wanted to say at the moment, but couldn't. He shouldn't. Even though Naruto was trained to have self-control, our young protagonist couldn't bear with the suspense and broke the silence. He filled it up with his chatter. He asked everything he could come up with and answered the questions before Kimimaro even had a chance. Things like favorite food, favorite color, favorite place. He then asked some questions that he couldn't answer on his own. What was the weird mark on his chest? Why did his master give off such a weird vibe? Stuff like that. Kimimaro decided to finally answer one of his questions, the one about his mark. He said it was a gift from his master, and that even he didn't know what it really did. Naruto was overjoyed that he finally answered one of his questions, and kept pestering him with more. Kimimaro slowly started opening up to Naruto, answering more of his questions and even asking some of his own. Their pace slowed as they neared the clearing. The clearing was surrounded by trees on all sides, and a small lake in the middle. Kimimaro suggested that they go fight on the lake, and was surprised to find out that Naruto said yes. With all the talking he had done, it was a miracle that this boy had any time for training. And yet, as Kimimaro stepped out onto the lake, Naruto did the same. Naruto couldn't possibly be more than 2 years younger than he was, but he himself was rather young. 10 years currently. If this child could control his chakra to a similar degree that he could, that in itself was something to be praised. Kimimaro, quickly getting over his awe of the boy in front of him, got into his battle stance and readied himself. Naruto, completely changing from his carefree attitude to a more serious tone, does the same. The two boys charge at each other and clash. Based on taijutsu alone, Kimimaro could easily be seen to be more skilled due to his longer extremities and swifter movements. Before Naruto even had a chance to counter his previous attacks, another one would be sent his way. However, even with that, Naruto was surprisingly keeping up quite well. Naruto decided it would be best to get some distance between them and quickly lunge back. Kimimaro let him do so to see what his next move would be. In just a matter of seconds, Naruto disappears into the murky water. Kimimaro certainly wasn't expecting him to do that. To make matters worse for him, he couldn't see where Naruto was because it was a cloudy night. Kimimaro thought to himself that it was a smart move, but Naruto would eventually have to come up for air. Suddenly, 3 blonde-headed boys shot out of the water, each rushing at Kimimaro from different angles. Kimimaro, in slight disbelief that he has to push himself so much, pulls out a bone from his arm and turns it into a blade. If Naruto was going to pull out his techniques, he might as well do the same. And although Kimimaro wouldn't admit this to himself, he was having fun and wanted to impress his new friend. He grazed each of the clones' cheek, dispatching all of them? Where was the real Naruto then? Why did the clones have more matter to them than usual for a clone to have? All of a sudden, he was grabbed around the ankles and pulled into the water by some unknown force. Though he would normally be able to resist such a thing, he already lost his focus from the clone stunt that Naruto just pulled. Deep into the cold water he went. As he tried to get free, he met the crystal blue eyes of the boy he had been sparring just a few seconds ago, peering back at him. They both resurfaced, and Naruto instantly let out a laugh. Kimimaro didn't think there was anything funny about the situation. Had this been a more serious fight, to have been caught off guard by such a simple tactic could have cost him his life. And yet, here they were, floating on top of the lake, freezing cold and exhausted, while Naruto was laughing his ass off. Kimimaro just barely cracked a small grin, then let out a sigh and said they should probably report back to their masters as it was getting late, and they may be concerned about them, regaining his calm composure once more. On the inside, he was still grinning though, wishing that they could stay there and fight once more. Seeing what other tricks Naruto had up his sleeve, he felt almost normal for once. Not like a soldier, not like a servant to his master, but like a kid. Before the two headed back to the base, Kimimaro asked Naruto, how old is he? And Naruto responds that he is 7. Kimimaro is shocked to hear that a child 3 years younger than him gave him so much trouble. He now definitely hopes they'll be able to spar again soon. By the time they returned to where they left their masters to spar, it was almost dawn. They spent a long time talking on the way back from the lake. Kimimaro was a bit more talkative this time, but mainly let Naruto take the lead. Naruto asked about the sword thing he pulled out from his skin, and Kimimaro explained to him it was his ability his clan possessed, his Keke Genkai. He had the ability to take bones out of his body and replace them with new ones. He could even shape them to create weapons and tools, and that's how he made his bone into a blade. He could even make his bones harder and sharper than steel if he wished. He created the blade once more and handed it to Naruto so he could have a closer look. Naruto inspected it for a while before exclaiming how cool Kimimaro's ability was and how he was jealous he couldn't have anything like that. Kimimaro let out a small laugh before asking Naruto about his clone ability. He said it was a shadow clone and learned it from a guy named Itachi that joined the Akatsuki fairly recent. Naruto said he seemed like a pretty serious guy, but was pretty kind and even taught him a bit of genjutsu. He quickly added he couldn't perform any yet and was just taught the basics. He also says he learned a really cool jutsu from Nagato that he'll have to show off another time. Upon returning to where they were hours before, their masters had yet to return. So, Naruto decided to lie down and get some sleep. Kimimaro eventually followed and did the same, succumbing to his exhaustion. He and Naruto had just had a long day and needed some rest. Risk of ambush was low, and their masters knew where to find them if they needed them. After a few hours, Naruto and Kimimaro were awoken by both of their masters at what seemed to be around noon. Rubbing the sleep from his eyes, Naruto stands up and complains to Obito that he should have just let him alone to stay asleep. Kimimaro waited to see what Orochimaru had awoken him for. Obito tells the both of them that they had watched their battle and were impressed with the performance they both had shown. Orochimaru then adds that they thought it would be the best for the both of them to spar more regularly, as it could benefit both of them in power greatly. Naruto is completely ecstatic to hear this news. Kimimaro looks neutral on the outside and agrees because it is what his master's idea was, but on the inside, he is also filled with joy. Obito's motives are clear as he wants to get Naruto stronger. As for Orochimaru, Kimimaro has yet to contract the incurable disease, so he is still grooming him to be the next vessel. This delay in Kimimaru's disease also means that Orochimaru has less of a reason to try to steal Itachi's body. Even though he wants an Uchiha vessel, he is not driven by greed and can clearly think. He knows that Itachi might be too powerful for him currently. After the plans are officially made, we now timeskip to when Naruto finally turns 11 and Kimimaro 14. The two, with their constant sparring and training, have become considerably stronger. Each of them easily rivals Jonin level ninja. Naruto has even been able to tap into his QB power. This new data allows Obito to see that maybe the seal will weaken over time and won't necessarily need Orochimaru's help. As he still needs more data, this is kept in the back of his mind. Over this time skip, Naruto was also given the opportunity to train under Itachi. This was arranged by Nagato as he thought that since they were both from the same village and Itachi possessed exceptional chakra control, it would be good for Naruto. The young boy was able to master some high-level genjutsu as well and even learn how to repel them. This was taught by Itachi using his Sharingan on Naruto. It is important to note that during one of these sessions, in particular, Naruto felt a bit more altered than normal. He of course doesn't make much of it as it was subtle, but something to keep in mind. Over these training periods, Naruto got a chance to hear about Itachi's little brother, Sasuke. Naruto was actually very keen to meet him as he heard they were about the same age and would be an excellent training partner if they were anything like Itachi. Orochimaru also overheard this information and made a specific note to himself. With that, Orochimaru hatched up a great plan. He told Obito that Naruto should enter the Leaf Village as a spy to gather information and build trust among the ranks. Obito, a bit skeptical on following through with a suspicious Orochimaru, believes the pros that came out of it would be far better than the cons. They could finally make use of Naruto's position as an innocent child and a Jinchuriki. Kimimaro overheard this plan and was saddened to hear that Naruto would be leaving and that he wouldn't be able to train with him anymore. He got quite attached over this time period. He goes as far as to ask Orochimaru if he could join an infiltration plan. Orochimaru just gives him a smile and tells him that due to his age, it would arouse too much suspicion. And plus, he has another special mission for him anyways. This isn't the answer Kimimaro wanted to hear, but he agrees without hesitation, showing his loyalty. Naruto's cover story would be that he was part of the Kaguya clan orphaned by war, that their clan waged against the Kigakure of the Hidden Mist village. Their clan had been completely slaughtered and would have been unsafe to stay there, so the Hidden Leaf took him in and gave him safety. In return, he would train as a ninja and serve the village. Orochimaru explains that some strings have been pulled to make the story a little bit more convincing. Furthermore, to not arouse suspicion, Naruto's exam and ninja scores were scrubbed to make it look like he was a low-class shinobi. This final act put everything right in line, as Naruto was placed on Team 7 with Sasuke, exactly what Orochimaru had hoped for. With this, Naruto would make semi-frequent reports through either Obito or more often than not Zetsu, seeing as both of their abilities allowed them to travel undetected by even a Jonin. The infiltration plan is set in high gear. And that's where we're ending this part to what if Naruto was raised by the Akatsuki. Now guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and it was much longer than any past episode we've done. So make sure to show that huge support, hitting that like button, and seeing those opinions in the comments below. So guys, without further ado, much love, Neon out.